All right. Hello. Thank you so much for coming to the Sashiko Live Streaming. Okay, the audio is good. Seems to be okay. This is the Thursday live streaming where I talk about Sashiko while doing the Sashiko stitching. This is not a lecture, tutorials, something I teach. So I will not answer any questions related to the techniques, but I am happy to share any other stories related to the culture and stuff. And continued from the previous live streaming. My voice is kind of strange. My throat is kind of strange. It is better comparing to the few days ago, but still it's kind of weird. And I tried not to use my throat too much today. And if it gets a little worse, I will probably stop at that point. So it may be a little bit shorter than usual, but I hope that you will bring some of your Sashiko stuff and then stitch together today. All right. God, my English is a little weird today. A few announcement. One announcement is that I do plan to have a lot of work, not a lot, few workshop in 2025. This year, 2025, I am having a little bit of challenging time to have more students. I don't know what's going on, but I will probably advertise more. And I didn't change much in terms of the conditions from 2024. And this year we didn't have that much difficult time. So something might be changing and I would like to adjust myself to that. But the summary of the links to the in-person workshop, in-person classes are listed on this description area. So if you're interested, or if you are kind of serious for that matter, if you like to jump into this Sashiko we practice, please consider taking our Sashiko class. 1 day is good, but 3 days is better because it can be comprehensive. And it's gonna be like a retreat for that matter too. It's a lot of stitching, but I hope that you will find it interesting, entertaining, and I am gonna make sure that I can pass down everything. And another thing is that I will make a decision when to go to Japan in 2025. It's gonna be in October or November again, but you will receive the email notification when you sign up for the waiting list. For the details, please check the description area for the link for this Sashiko Japan tour. Although I said tour here, I will probably start rephrasing it to the Sashiko Japan retreat. It's not really a tour. We don't do any sightseeing. I offered, but they didn't. We did not want to do it. So anyway, so that's gonna be a two announcement. And I did not bring much topic today, so I will probably just start talking about it. But it's pretty scary to lose the voice, and without the voice, we don't have much power to say. Unfortunately, I don't want it to be that way. But let's see what we can do. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for coming to the live streaming. I will move to everything. Okay. If you are a long-time follower, this may look familiar to you. It has been what? Not even few months, probably almost a year. No, cannot be. Yeah, it can be a year. So this is the part of the 100 meter of Asanoha stitching. I ended up with not making 100 meter, but I kind of did the mizutoshi before I reached to the 100 meter. So I am now restarting to finally, at some point, one day, to meet to the 100 meter. So it's exactly the same Asanoha patterns once again. I kind of completed everything as an assignment to the Japan retreat. So I don't have much things to stitch in front of the camera today besides this. Oi, 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 oi. It's getting cold here. I hope we still have a little bit of fall, not just jumping to the winter right after the summer. I still don't know why my body reacted like that. I had a pretty bad allergic. I cannot say that word. Allergy, allergic reaction, like sneezing and running nose and stuff like that. But I don't think that was the allergy. More like reacting to something. Because I got a little bit of fever and then throat was a little bit painful and then I lost my voice. So I think it's something else. And it wasn't COVID. I tested, but I tested negative. So I don't know what it is. It's just something is going on. Hello, hello. So this will be somewhat a question to those who took my workshop in-person classes. I wonder if you feel the pain after stitching or while stitching Sashiko, while doing Sashiko. I came across to a post on the Facebook saying that I think she was suffering from the pain, and the family members said that the pain is because of this Sashiko, and he or they are recommending her to stop it. And I think she was asking for some advice to do it. And as Sashiko is a handcrafting, we use the hand, it is somewhat natural to get some sort of pain. But not at the same time as Sashiko was developed as the ordinary practice, it should not create unbearable pain. As we get older, we start having the issues, like my back hurts, my immune system is not that strong, so it takes more time to recover. So those are more like the issues that we would get regardless of doing Sashiko or not. But sometimes I come across the sort of discussions minimizing the importance of the form, learning the form and learning it very, very basic for that matter. It's not even technique or design itself, it's even before that, the form. And once you get used to the form, the Sashiko stitching itself should not create any pains around your neck, shoulder, arm. I mean, if it's like a stomachache, it's not Sashiko. Probably it's something you ate for dinner or breakfast. So I have seen so many Sashiko artisans in my life, but not many people. I don't know anybody who caused the pain because of Sashiko. They had a pain because of something else. And the comment I saw was about eyes, and that also makes me think that they are using eyes too much. So I don't know. I don't really know I know. It's really sad that they minimize the importance of the form or something developed over the long time and kind of ignore it and then start blaming something else. Like a pain is, not necessary, but it's not avoidable. It may not be inevitable, but at the same time, that's after so many hours of practice or learning. And I personally do not feel any pain by doing Sashiko. And I like this, I said that I can stitch 24 hours non-stop. And as you know, I have proven that by doing 24 hours of live stitching. So if you want to waste your time, there should be archive somewhere on this YouTube so you can take a look at it. But that's one of the kind of wisdom that it was really like, first of all, I don't stitch that much though. In Japanese live streaming, there was a person said that she has a pain with her fingers, and she stitched 15 hours every day. Yeah, if one stitch that much, it's not even, that's a little bit different story. But for like few hours, I don't think it shouldn't be that developed pain or so. Sorry, thank you so much for the comment. Let me read it. I don't want to miss that. Just a second. I don't feel pain, but I also I don't feel pain, but I also don't stitch for several hours at a time. Is this Facebook person from your class or just random? If it's from my class, I would contact them directly and ask if they need help, because I really don't want them to feel pain. And my class start from there. Like I hope you remember that, but my class start. If you have any pain or any pain during the class, please let me know, because there gotta be something wrong with that. So wait, Sashiko adjacent Cass Holmes book. What is that? South Soulful Stitch just came out, and what? Another new book came? Wow, that's interesting. Thank you so much. I'm gonna just look for that right now. By who? Another non-Japanese using the... What is that title again? Soulful Stitch? Oh, it's not Sashiko, right? Probably. I hope not. Soulful Stitch. There we go. I found it. Well, I don't think it's related to Sashiko much. Anyway. Yeah, like it's really interesting to have that. Well, I would like to try that, actually. I get pain if I stitch too long with the arthritis. That's one thing. Arthritis is one thing, so there is a way to kind of go around it. But the goal of my teaching is to avoid unnecessary pain. At least I do not want Sashiko to be the cause of pain. After 3 hours of sewing, I get pain on my back. Sewing is a little bit different things too, especially if you use sewing machine, you have to use the leg sometimes, I guess. And I cannot talk about that because I don't really using sewing machine. Yeah, Heather can trace back to something. What is the pain? I saw that post on Facebook and thought that she or we could have similar experience when we would work on something else. It just happened to her when she was working on Sashiko. Yes, that's very true. So when we try to do something, I think that person was doing something small, and she used the eyes too much, and then, well, unless she has a different complete separate illness, in that case, that's the doctor's business. So it is perfectly fine to get pain by doing Sashiko, but what I feel sad is that the reaction to the pain. I think I was the only one who was saying that there is a way to improve it. There maybe, well, actually, I don't know if she has a chronic illness or not, so I cannot talk about everything. But by looking at her stitches, I don't think she took my online class or any other class for that matter. So probably that's something can be improved. And it is sad that not many people can talk about it, because it is very, very well known that form is extremely important when you do the Japanese way, like do. And Sashiko has not become the way, so it is very understandable that we kind of sort of forget about it. But that post and that comment, not a post itself, the comment itself made me kind of sad that they jumped to the conclusion of pain is inevitable, or minimize that. I think what I'm talking about is that minimizing the significance of something they developed behind the word of Sashiko, and in this case, they means Japanese. So that is something, like a majority is losing because they try to sort of only trace the surface of this practice. It takes some time to get used to the posture too, but it is quite, I'm not really complaining, it's just sad. And those who commented are those who teach others what Sashiko really is. I mean, I don't know what really is, but so that's the trend. We have to kind of go over that. She mentions Sashiko in the book, but doesn't try to teach it. She took small wabi-sabi. That can be quite dangerous topic, because we, this live streaming, came to one conclusion: how wabi-sabi is misused, not appropriate, misused or misunderstood. And it's not her problem, or it's not anybody's problem. It's just unfortunate result of interpretation of interpretation of translation of interpretation. So I don't know, as long as she really knows what wabi-sabi is. Well, if she says she knows what wabi-sabi is, then she doesn't know anything about it. Wabi-sabi can be very, very, very tricky. There are a few Japanese here, so let's see what we can do. So I haven't read it, so I don't want to really judge it, but I think I kind of assume, and I will apologize if I'm wrong, but it's another book based on the information available in English. So it can be wrong or incorrect or insufficient for that matter. Probably insufficient. Yeah, those who published an article or those project and who really care about what they are, they try to get the voice from Japanese. And if there are any other Japanese who are sharing the information about Sashiko and borrowed this deeply, not this superficial, not how to do it, this deep. Um, I would like to know who they are, but at least I don't know her book, so it's probably another book. I don't know about the whole book, but I probably feel sad by reading it. Another misinterpretation of what Sashiko will borrow are. Well, that's the power I have. That's the power I don't have too. This doesn't really make me feel angry, but makes me very sad. First thing you told us was the right posture, so whenever I do Sashiko, I keep that in mind. That's probably why I don't have pain when I do Sashiko. That's really nice comment. Thank you. I do teach the right posture, but if I were to rephrase it to more accurate saying, I teach the way to find the right posture for each individuals. I don't have the right posture for everybody. Unfortunately, I wish I have, but I don't. Therefore, I teach the way, or more like a strategies or mindset or like tools to find the right posture. Well, posture form, so-called kata. And kata includes not only the physical posture but also the mindness, not a mindness, mindset. So, well, that's one thing that I don't mind sharing a lot of those live stitching. Yet I still feel that there might be some opportunities or some room for me to keep teaching. Many say that, well, when I decided to share this kind of live streaming or YouTube, many say that I shouldn't do it because, that can be like destroying my future income stream by yourself. She literally told me that you are destroying your future. Well, I agree. I am having a very difficult time finding the student for some reason. I don't know what's going on, but that's because that many people think they can do Sashiko by just watching this or somebody's tutorials that they learned by watching this. Was like, I don't know how many layers of people there are between, but so but the same times I think that when I probably ask for the human decency for that, I believe at some point that humans are somewhat decent. So it may be a little bit too much to ask for. I don't know, but if this Sashiko, like whole picture of Sashiko, is passed down to the next generation fully, it doesn't have to be me. Even if I lose the future, that's perfectly fine, unless it is passed down fully. So the post itself is with the pain is okay, but the comment reaction to that post was completely against to my philosophy or hope, for that matter, wish. That's why I'm probably saying that they focus on these superficial matters, result, technique, design so much that they kind of ignore the important part. She actually mentioned that wabi-sabi doesn't have a clear or universal definition. I mentioned she books because I think for once, as non-Japanese, she was pretty respectful and careful to not over-explain. Thank you. I think I am very over. How can I put this way? I'm very pessimistic for that. So I have to read it, of course. I have to read it to judge it, to make a criticism. But I'm pretty pessimistic. I'm quite tired of. Well, I think it's okay for me to be tired. I, you know, I think I can be tired at this point. I cannot be hopeful right now. Unfortunately. It started very, very wrong way. It was very bad when it came to the publication first. So somebody asked me to write, to contribute to their book. She said that she would give me a few pages to explain what Sashiko is. Few pages. She said a few pages. And I said, well, sure, that's an honor. How much can I get? Right? It's the writing contribution. So I asked for the fee. And she said nothing. And then okay, fine. Then I said like, okay, I can do by myself. I can consider doing it for free. At the same time though, as the one who I contribute to, I want you to understand what Sashiko is. So can you please take the ideally in-person workshop, but if it's difficult, online class, which is $300 back then. So that was only request. It's not a payment. It's just I wanted her to learn so that she will not kind of mislink what I write to the books she was writing. And after all, in short, she got angry, not me. I don't know if she or they. I'm sorry. They got angry, and they said that many people would be happy to write for the book for the publicity. It is very important to be on the book to be known. So she kind of told, they kind of told me that I should be happy to write for that. And at that point, I was not interested anymore. But that's how I kind of come across the writing in English. And ever since, it's kind of like that. It's not as bad as that. But there were quite many requests for the articles, but they usually have the article or the content that they would like to publish. So they need my name or somebody's Japanese name who do this practice to validate what they publish, but they do not want to hear what I actually say. And we have been there, we have done that. And those like article on the, Salvage magazine or BBC or New York Times that I was kind of once mentioned. Those are the articles that there are interviewers. No, they are interviewers and they really listen to what I was saying. So it's not really others explaining what Sashiko really is. And I don't know that the book, Chasing a Thread introduced, I don't know how much that soul soul stitch was linked to the Sashiko and borrow. If she were to use that word, this may be a little arrogant to say, but I wish she would contacted somebody like me. And she may have. I'm sorry if she may have contacted somebody Japanese with a translator or something. But it's just a little sad. It's still like the Japanese is not on the stage of Sashiko. We are looking on the stage of performance named Sashiko, and all of the actors on the stage are not Japanese, although they say that it's a Japanese act. And that's kind of like like there's so many dancers, so many performers that I should want to introduce, but they don't want to be on the stage, which I understand, which makes them non-performers. So this analogy is a little bit weird, but that's how I feel about today's Sashiko. So many others. You should absolutely not work for free, especially when it comes to your culture. Well, that's recent. It wasn't really one of the article that my friends got pretty upset for losing the publicity was the article on the Vine or Vice? Vice? Vice. There was an article it's like 7 or 6 years ago about the visible mending on Sashiko, and I kind of ignored. And I did not know the Vice first, so I did kind of ignored the email because that person was saying like, I need to publish this article tomorrow, so can I have a quick meeting today to go over what Sashiko is? And my reaction is no. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. So I ignored that. And so the writer used my Instagram. I believe that they tagged me somehow. She wrote something completely. She or he wrote something completely different. And my friend was really upset because back then, 2000, I don't remember. Back then, I didn't have many followers. I didn't have YouTube channel back then like this. So my friend found that it was a very good opportunity to be known. And I understand they care about me. They really wanted to me be on the stage too. So they tried to train me. And I really appreciate them trying to do that. But I still don't feel that any publicity is a good publicity. Especially in this internet world. If I mispresent myself, that cannot be reversed easily. So, well, my goal is not to be famous or to make money. My goal is to preserve this culture as is, as much as I can. It cannot be preserved as is, but I would like to make sure that I can include everything as a package when I pass it down to somebody. Being famous and making money are the vehicle to reach to that goal. But yeah, But then, my friends probably advise that, well, but you need a strategy to get those money and fame because otherwise you cannot even reach to that goal. So I understand. I'm very idealistic. I'm the one who is not thinking about. I'm the idiot one. I'm like idiot. Like Dostoevsky's idiot. I'm like that. But there are things that I don't want to change. By the way, I said that like non-Japanese and Japanese, but that categorization is kind of wrong too. It's easier to use Japanese and non-Japanese to kind of explain the difference, but that categorization is already sort of wrong, inaccurate. We Japanese have become very westernized, and there are so many who makes our culture to the entertainment side. And again, I'm not saying it's the wrong thing to do, but we have to know that they are making it entertainment. I am pretty sure that you can find many workshop for the kintsugi. If you look for enough, you probably find workshop for kintsugi, and I don't know about a quick workshop of kintsugi because, like, first they have to have a broken pieces. How do they get the broken pieces of a quick workshop? Like it's like the same as like borrow making workshop, and how do we bring the completely torn fabric to fix it if it's the entertainment? Like if you're visiting a country, would you bring like broken pieces? Well, if they are bringing, that's a completely different story. That's more like a learning. That's a different story. Like, I ask students to bring some of the, garment with holes or torn here. So that's a different story. But we as a Japanese are the one who are making our culture as the entertainment to make money, to make it profitable. So when I say non-Japanese or Japanese, it does not mean, it should not mean, I shouldn't even say that actually. It's not that Japanese and non-Japanese are like the race or ethnicity. It's more like the mindset, if it's okay to say that. Not an idiot. Being mentioned in the New York Times and BBC is much more impressive than Vice. Yeah, thank you. But that's like after 6 years later. 6 years later. So, after all, that was probably a good choice. But back then, any even now, probably they would advise that any publicity is a good publicity, especially because I am saying like I'm having a difficult time, challenging time to get a workshop filled. That means that there's very very many factors. Like the fees can be expensive, or the fees around the workshop, like staying or traveling, is expensive, too expensive. The budget is not gonna meet. It's difficult time to go. We have many reasons. The economy is not good, which I don't know. Well, I feel economy is bad, but thinking the stock price, it's kind of crazy. But the biggest reason is probably the lack of publicity. I'm not known. So it's really the balance. Although I said it's a balance, I will probably not change anything. I haven't changed it the last 6 years. I hope that I Well, I don't even hope. I am saying exactly same thing from the day one that I started, so that's pretty creepy, but I cannot change. I don't mind changing Sashiko, but I don't really change myself. And there's a reason for that, but it's pretty creepy that I don't really change. I'm getting Sashiko by Eiko Yoshida. Now I will have to learn Japanese to read it. Good luck. Yoshida Eiko-san is one of those who revived Sashiko based on her region's wisdom and technique. I did not have a honor to meet her or learn from her because we did not live very close, and my family was not really encouraging us to engage with others. We did not really fight or anything, so I did not have the honor to meet her. But her books are quite good in terms of understanding the Sashiko which was practiced in that, like about 40 years ago. I think the book was published closer to 2000, but her stitching started around 1960s and 1970s, the same time as our family business was revived. Oh, that one. So the best one though is Sashiko by Yoshida Eiko is okay. It's not my recommendation. The recommendation is, I don't know how to say it in English, but Sashiko Hyakuyo. It's, if I translate it, it's like a Sashiko 100 leaves like a tree and leaf. That's a kind of Bible for many people. There are two books that I recommend, which is both out of print and it's quite difficult to get at this point. But there are a few. There's another book called Sashiko no Kenkyu だったかな. It's a research in Sashiko, and that's published by Iku Tokunaga sensei. And that book is quite academic. It's probably the only one Sashiko books written from the academic perspective. I don't have it with me right now. I had it when I was in Japan. I hope that they didn't really. I hope it's still in my office. Not my office, my previous office. But yeah. Well, in my group of Sashiko artisans in Japan that I often bring my tour retreat to, there's a Sashiko. I don't mind calling her master at this moment. I don't know if she likes that, but there's a Sashiko artisan who has been doing Sashiko more than 40-50 years. She learned Sashiko from Yoshida Eiko sensei directly when she was like a child. So she's probably the last generation that she could have learned from them directly. There are still lineage. It's very thin though. I would not be able to learn from any of those masters directly. I had a fortune to greet some of those when I became adult. And I happened to be born in one of the families. So I can talk about it. But I can talk about it only about my family. I can talk only about my family. So I cannot talk about Yoshida-san or Yoshiura-san. Well, I shouldn't say sensei. I should say sensei. And there are, of course, lineage there. And we kind of have to, but the lineage itself is kind of interesting because not all lineage does Sashiko. Some people focus on different aspect of Sashiko, or most importantly, many Sashiko artisans wish their kids to not to do Sashiko because Sashiko can be very difficult to make a living. I know many of those who ask their kids to be like lawyer or go to medical field. So even if they are the lineage, it's not common to come back. I don't know if they come back. I hope they come back. Like, I wouldn't be doing Sashiko if I did not marry to my spouse today. No, because if I marry to somebody who expect me to be the breadwinner, I don't think I can. No, I don't. It's not. I don't think I cannot. I cannot sustain the family of 3. So I have to give up, right? Technically speaking, I have to give up. I saw Sashiko Hyakuyo at New England Quilt Museum Library. That's great. I think the Textile Museum in Minneapolis probably had it. I was so focused on teaching, so I did not take a photo, but they had a pretty good collection of Sashiko books. From the header, she picked up the book Mingei Art Without Heroes. It's one of it's a really, really good book. It's not about Sashiko, it's about Mingei, but there are quite many books written about Mingei in English, and they are often a translation of the book written in Japanese by Yanagi Soetsu or people around him in the Mingei movement. And Rushing, I think it's her name, she visited us last year when we were in Japan. Like that was like a, fortune, miracle, lucky that she was in Japan and we were in Japan at the same time. So we had a time to talk about it. But I think she and her team did a fantastic job to interpret what Mingei is from today's value philosophies. It's like updated version of Mingei in English. So I do not know if they're selling it in online, or are they selling it online on the kind of Amazon or something? I got a book from her. She sent me one copy. I can show you. I was actually reading a few weeks ago. It came from England, so there's a little bit of dent, which I'm kind of sad, but so this doesn't have much Sashiko. I don't know if it's a good idea to show everything. Just a second. Sashiko Yakuyo looks to be $150 on eBay. Hello, anybody in Japan right now, please get 100 hyaku and send it to me. I can probably sell it. Wow, that's insane. Don't get it. Don't get it on 100. No, don't get it on $115. It's gotta be somewhere $20 or $30. They should be. It's really published. There are many copies. There should be many copies. So just wait for the update. Just a second. Ali, I thought that they talked about project. Oh, there we go. I think it's okay to share this page only, but so this is the project that I it's kind of shiny, but this is the project that I was part of in 2011, 2012 after the earthquake, northern part of Japan. And this team contacted them first, and then this team referred to us. So this can be one sample of Minge, although it's really not like old. It's really today's practice, but it's very well written, beautifully written, many photos. So if, like, as Heather said, she found one hard copy on Amazon. If Minge is your interest, this is a pretty good book. Unknown Craftsman by Yanagi Soetsu is another book that I often say. It's like, summary, but that's a little bit outdated in my opinion. Again, I don't want to talk about Minge too much. It's a very scary field. I shouldn't be talking about it, but that translation, Art Without Heroes, is brilliant translation. I hope that somebody can translate Wabi Sabi or Sashiko or anything with that kind of few phrases yet explaining the philosophy behind it. Anybody? So in Japan, Amazon Japan is 4,000, 5,000. Yeah, that's about it. So $30, $40, sometimes less than $30 if you're lucky. $150 is a little bit. $115 is a little bit too much. And it's all written in Japanese, so well, you can probably use Google Lens or something like that. Okay, well, my throat seems to be okay, so I'll keep doing this, and this is going to be the last thread for today. So after this thread, I will go off. If you have any question about the culture of Sashiko, I'm happy to answer in this live streaming or the next live streaming if I have to carry away. Well, my throat was okay for today. Well, book is another thing I have to do. But that's another field that I become so stubborn. Well, please bear with me. One day, before I die, I will find somebody who understands what I'm trying to do. I do not want to write how to book as my first book. I don't mind writing how-to book after I get to know that editor or that publisher. But I don't want to write how-to book as the first book because I am gonna make it as entertainment by doing it. And it is more like, if I exaggerate, it's like selling the soul to that. If I write the first book as the how-to book, like open and how to do it, Sashiko, then that's the end of my Sashiko. That's as much as I would love to have a book to be published, but that cannot be the first book. I don't mind. I don't mind compromising a little bit, but I need to explain somehow first. Well, the domestic course is the version of, like, compromised version of that. I asked them to give me pretty great amount of time to talk about it. And I think our 1/3 of the content is not about technique or design or how to. And that was the compromise I took. So I hope I can one day. And before that, I might, do the self-publish or something when I have time. But give me some time. Wait for us. Us? For me? Anybody who took my workshop can write a book too, so they might go first. I don't know. Okay, book is not the goal. Book is another vehicle to reach to the goal. I just want to pass down the... So if somebody make a post, if somebody make a comment that they carry the like a massive pain by doing Sashiko, I hope that the world reply to that the comment saying that, well, that's probably the posture or something you didn't learn. So that's how I would be criticized in my family. If I say something, they kind of not a blame, but they criticized me not learning enough, although they didn't teach me enough. They didn't teach me anything, for that matter. But that's how this culture was passed down, and my goal is not to be that secretive. I am sharing pretty much everything I can. So only things I ask them is to acknowledge it so that they can choose to learn. Stephanie, after taking a core in essence, I don't think a how-to book could convey the essence and core of how Sashiko is actually. See, I'm not being very stingy or. It's just purely I cannot convey that. Thank you. Convey is a very good use to do that because. Well, of course, I have to adjust it to each individuals I see, and if possible, I would like to be responsible for their learning until they find their own Sashiko. But in order to jump to the how-to, there gotta be some set of amount of mutual understanding. What I'm teaching may be different from what they are expecting. But yeah, without that, it's gonna be something. It's gonna be something very similar to what we can find today on the book, but that's not the Sashiko we practice. That's not the Sashiko I would like to pass down. And well, again, Domestica is very good result. I am happy with the result, and that's a very good introduction. But that's the introduction. That's sort of the way to make a foundation of mutual understanding to learn a little bit one step further. So well, one day. I'm trying to do something impossible, but one day. Yeah, no matter how many years of experience one has in Sashiko, I ask them to take the corn essence because that will help me to have the mutual agreement. Not agreement, mutual understanding each other on what Sashiko really is. And quite many of those who has a lot of experience do not come to my workshop, especially when I say there's no advanced. It's everybody have to go through the first workshop or first class. They don't find it interesting, I guess, because their understanding of basic is a little bit different from my understanding of basic. But there are few who took my class who also teach Sashiko, or was teaching Sashiko, or was using Sashiko as their art with like 30, 40 years of experience. And they find it a little bit, not a little bit, they find it as the complete different category of Sashiko, and which is very accurate way to say that because what they learn is also Sashiko, but it was a Sashiko. It's not the Sashiko. Huh? And I'm teaching a Sashiko as well. So a combination, not a combination, accumulation of those a Sashiko will make the Sashiko. And those who are teaching a Sashiko as the Sashiko is inaccurate or simplifying this culture. Huh? Does it make sense? I don't know if I'm making sense for this. But yeah, one of them will come to Japan with me this time, so I can introduce her finally to everybody on the Instagram. Well, of course, with her permission, but there are few who has been doing Sashiko in English yet not well known. I don't know why they don't want to come up to the surface of the internet, but they usually know me when I was like 5 or 6 years old, running around in the store, or probably talking to my grandma when she was very active. We don't know. All right. So the Domestica course is sort of an equivalent to a book as far as how much you can teach without seeing the students teach. That's a beautiful summary of what I was trying to say. Yes. So that's one compromise I did because I always wanted to have my recommendation to learn Sashiko in English. It's not really good to say that I don't have any recommendation in English. That means like there's no way to learn Sashiko from Japanese. That sounds like that there's no way to learn Sashiko from Japanese. So I did not want to say that there's no recommendation in English. And the Domestica opened up the possibility of doing that. So that was a very good way. But again, that's the equivalent of the book. See, I have to, that's a lot of challenges. Well, so this was today's running stitch. It's gonna take some time to make it like a pieces. Um, so those are the kind of homeworks that I ask. It's my dream. It's my dream toward the future that I will ask the people in all over the world to contribute their sashiko to one piece. It can be a jacket, it can be a tapestry, like a friendly quilt. And this is the version of this retreat, 2024 retreat. And we have done so many, not so many, we have done about 6 projects for the Japanese people, for the Sashiko artisans who live in Japan. It's much easier to organize it because of the, logistics? How do you say that? Carriers. The Japan Post is pretty accurate and punctual and reliable. So we didn't have any problem with doing that. Shipping can be a little bit of problem or challenge to make this happen, but this is one of my goals to make it happen in all over the world in English or in other languages if somebody can translate. So this one is the assignment, and I realized I'm part of it. I wasn't part of the Japanese version of this collaboration project because I wasn't in Japan. But when I realized that I am actually part of this retreat, so I realized I have to do that. So there are 4 fabric. 1, 2, 2, 2. It's stitched. It's not drawn. It's stitched. It looks like it's kind of line, but it's all stitched. Do you see that? Yeah, okay. And this one is not done yet. Oh yeah, it's not. I have to do that. This one. It's a Sanoha pattern, and then I don't know why there's a little space, but this one should be done soon. So those 4 will be part of one big something. I don't know what something is going to be. Probably a jacket, like workman jacket, noragi. But yeah, those fabrics, indigo fabric, cotton fabric with the pattern pre-printed are available. We prepared this so that we don't have to spend so much time on preparing the patterns. And if we ask everybody to prepare the patterns for this, there might be a little bit of how can I say? ズレってなんて言うっけ? Little bit of subtle difference between each fabric. So for this project and for this purpose, we silk screened the patterns on the indigo fabric, and we made a little bit too many of those. And it's kind of good, actually. It's a very good practice. So we have that on the website for sale as well, if you like to try that. But those are the kind of like assignment for those who will come to Japan with me next month. I'm so nervous though. Well. That's a different story. All right, thank you so much for coming to the Sashiko Live streaming on Thursday night. I'm so glad that my voice was okay. I don't know if it's gonna be okay after this, but I hope it's gonna be okay. I really appreciate you coming to the live streaming with you stitching, and I hope that I can keep offering this hour and a little bit as a place to be together. We call it ibasho. Ibasho is a place to be regardless of who you are, where you are. And, it's kind of like the foundation of what Sashiko really is. So I hope that I can keep doing it Thursday night. If you have a question, please leave the comment. If you're watching this as archive, if you have a question, please leave the comment so I can bring that question in the next live streaming. That being said, I think I'm all set. All right, I hope you have a good night. I will see you next Thursday. Bye-bye.